TGCRequiem, we're back with the final match of the night. We have Abzan Traverse here. Started out 3-1, lost to Storm in the last match. We're going to be on the play against a individual with a huge canoe. We have to mulligan here. Do we have to mulligan here? Yeah, we have to mulligan here. I don't know. On the play, I think we actually keep this. The opponent's going to be a little behind us. Our hand's a little slow, but pretty powerful. We need a green source, and we may just not draw one. But we have the ability to play Lingering Souls Liliana of the Veil, worst case, before our opponent's third turn, even if we don't get a green source. Potentially, obviously not definitively. I think we keep here. Oh man. We got a blue-white control opponent. My favorite, he says sarcastically. Just on the odd chance that our opponent is an Esper player, we're going to wait to bauble them. Eland. Alright, so we still know they have an island. This is where we're just going to want to start jamming Liliana right now. Draw two, one of them's an upright land. Can't spell snare Liliana. Well, that is a bummer. Sometimes you take a risk and you aren't rewarded. Sometimes you take a risk and you are rewarded. Well, let that be a lesson to all of you. The lesson is, things happen. Alright, so we can get a green source here. If we go for a green source, what happens? They just counter whatever we do, and then Spreading sees our green source the next turn. And I just knocked my deck list out. How great is that? My computer has been acting up today. Not been very helpful. Not very helpful at all. Actually resolves. Interesting. So I think we're just going to discard a Lingering Souls. and pass the turn. So opponent's likely just sitting on Cryptic Command based on their behavior. Oh, beautiful. We get a Thoughtseize first. So when they bounce this, so when they counter the Thoughtseize and bounce the Liliana, yep, Cryptic, bounce Liliana. Not unexpected. Sorry, what did they do? Oh, and drew a card. Okay. What do you have? Path, Logic Knot, Snapcaster. Well, I think we just take Snapcaster here and jam the Liliana. And then we're just going to hope to win a grindy game. Alrighty. Problem is they play their lands. Oh, and they played a Hollow Fountain, so we know they still have an island. I think we just pitch the Liliana here. Opponent pitches the other path, which allows us to try and jam Tarmogoyf or Skoos. Or Grim Flayer, actually. Grim Flayer might be the best one here. If they counter this, well, we're not going to play Lingering Souls either way, I guess. But if they Logic Knot, yep. Alright, and then we're kind of okay with this. So Colonnade's going to come in, hit the Liliana. Worst case scenario for us is our opponent discards Supreme Verdict and draws another Supreme Verdict. So they drop the logic knot. I think it's very possible we just play... Do you play Scavenging Ooze here? Oh, this Liliana's pretty great too. But so is Path. I'm actually just going to try and play Scavenging Ooze here to bait out the Supreme Verdict. That allows us to keep Liliana on the board. And then if they Verdict, then we can Tarmogoyf Lingering Souls. Like we're just going to get Verdict wiped here. Yep. Alright, so opponent's down to 1 card. No, 2 cards. Really surprised I didn't Spreading Seas our Tomb. We do run a bit of a risk here, but we have to take it. It's our only real out to victory. Don't know if there's a whole lot of reason to uptick here. We're kind of in a race, and Path helps us there. Plus we know we have the other Liliana coming down next turn, which kind of just feeds our hand over again. And we do need another white source to be able to cast the Path. Are we going to get a Cryptic Bounce here? I don't know. So they did have a second Supreme Verdict. I think at this point we just uptick, discard the Path. Plan to let our opponent attack the Liliana the first time here. Play second Liliana. Bring back a Tarmogoyf. And maybe try to race. Of course, to do that we'd have to draw land. Unfortunately, upticking Liliana here does absolutely nothing. And downticking to get a Tarmogoyf does nearly the same. Thankfully, Tarmogoyf is big and potentially could be a big enough clock. pretty rough being stuck under celestial colonnades. Especially if they're sitting on like a spell snare here, they're going to be able to kill Liliana and counter the Tarmogoyf. Well, Fatal Push is good. Helps with the race. Would have liked that a little earlier in place of the paths. Heck yeah, give me a green. Give me a forest. Fire up that colonnade. Ooh, irrigated farmland, getting some cycling action going. See a couple of those in a blue-white control deck. So the opponent is back into control mode, not using the colonnades for anything more than they need. Traverse, and I think we're just going to go for... I could go Treetop Village. They just probably have access to too much path. Any Snapcaster that they have is just so reactive here. I think we get the Kalitas. The thing with the Kalitas is we can actually still get a token out of the deal if they Snapcaster path. It's also not that big of a deal if they counter it. So we have answers for the colonnades now. Question is whether or not we'll get to use it. Alright, so one down, one win condition down. Turn 14 already. Well, Tectonic Edge turns off our whatever you call it, Treetop Village. That's frustrating. Now we're not going to be able to Lingering Souls. Need some sort of discard outlet, Collector Brutality or Liliana. Getting up to 7 cards. Well, that's going to be pretty good against assuming they'll just take the colonnade. Might concede here soon, just to make sure we have enough time for the other the rest of the match. Opponent has an overwhelming advantage at this point. And I am getting sleepy. We're going to need something really good, really fast. This lead resolves, buys us a couple turns with Lingering Souls. Just as chump blockers. Fortunately, the opponent is going to get a shot at the Liliana again. Both of our Abrupt Decays are in the graveyard, so we're never getting rid of that Spreading Seas. Gideon of the Trials. Until the next turn, prevent all damage. Target permanent we deal. Oh my gosh. It's pretty sure they're going to take Gideon there, and that's going to pretty much seal the deal. Suppose they might take the lands and just try and fire up multiple Celestial Colonnades. So, assuming Liliana goes bye-bye here. And thankfully Tarmogoyf is big enough to tango at least. I'm sure the opponent's just sitting on a Snapcaster Mage. If they Snapcaster Mage the Tarmogoyf, we will just straight up concede. If the opponent attacks, yeah, prevent all damage, target permanent would deal. We'll just concede here. There's no way we're getting through this. We don't want to waste all day. Lost on 18. We'll say we would have probably lost on about turn 21 there. Actually, probably been turn 20. 20, turn 20, oh my gosh. I had a match against blue-white control last week when I was on vacation, and one game went 23 turns, the other one went 17 or 18, and then the final game took 7. Just pretty funny. So we're going to bring in Extraction, Graph Digger's Cage. We're going to bring in the Fulminator Mages to just be creatures and fight their lands. Maelstrom Pulse will help with the walkers. Collective Brutality, Reclamation Sage, Liliana. I think that's what we want. We're going to cut a bauble. The opponent probably wants some of the graveyard for themselves. I don't know if they need it as much as we do. We're willing to cut a couple removal spells. We don't really need the path. I think we would prefer to keep in push. Since we're going to play a little bit of a grindier game, I think we're okay maybe cutting a land. And then I like all of these walkers, all of these creatures are good. Abrupt Decay is questionable. Don't know if there's a whole lot that Abrupt Decay really fights. I mean, it does blow up your opponent's Spreading Seas. I don't know if they're really worried about bringing Spreading Seas against us post board. Maybe we leave a Miser's one. No, I think with the Reclamation Sage and Maelstrom Pulse, we're fine to just cut the Abrupt Decays. I think we cut one Traverse because there's a good chance. Actually, yeah. I like that. On the play, this is not very aggressive, not the way we beat the opponent. Liliana of the Veil coming down turn 3 with no other hand disruption is not going to help tear our opponent's hand apart enough to be worth it. This is a pretty good hand though. Sorcery, land, bauble. There's a good chance we get to traverse. Opponent also mulliganed. We definitely want Flare on top, so we will lead on Godless Shrine. Try and snag a Spell Snare or maybe a Rest in Peace. We're going to take the path since we can play under the Mana Leak. Opponent is going to draw a Serum Visions. So should be a decent card to hold on to for later. Opponent probably should just play Serum Visions here, but they're going to hold up Mana Leak in case I have a fast start. So putting the Kalitas in the bin actually turns on Delirium. I don't want to play into the mana leak, but I do want to turn Delirium on, so we're just going to go ahead and pitch Kalitas here. And we want Liliana on top, but we know we're running right into a mana leak, so I think the threat of trying to beat down with the Tarmogoyf just makes more sense there. The problem here is these are all so good. I'm going to leave them all on top. I'm actually going to bait the opponent with a Traverse. Even though I know this will cause me to lose what I have on top. We got to get through the mana leak one way or the other, so it doesn't matter if I try and hold off for Liliana or not. So the hope here is just to bait the mana leak. And maybe they have a spell snare anyway, who knows. There's certainly the chance that they could draw into a Supreme Verdict. They have the mana for it if they need it. So almost the best draw we could get here is, I mean, I'm not saying it's the best draw, but if we get Collective Brutality and the opponent doesn't have anything to handle the attackers, that could just be game right there. So we do lose 1 point of power by playing Bojuka Bog in advance, but if we bait out the Snapcaster Mage into Path to Exile, I think it's probably worth it. Question is, do you take the Flayer who filters or the Goyf who runs your clock? Flayer. So the plan is to chump block with Snapcaster Mage. So I think we'll just Lily down tick. Opponent has choices. The question is whether or not they are good for us or not. So the plan here, and I know I just fired that off immediately, but oh, this is so frustrating. Plan was the thought seize before combat, then uptick Liliana. Attack in with Tarmogoyf. Counter draw, okay. It's going to be very difficult for our opponent to win if this goes to a third game. Good old Colonnade. And mana to... Ooh, and rest in peace now. Oh my gosh. Saving all the goodies for last. So we do have access to white, though. The white mana is not going to give us any paths. Assumption is the opponent fires up the Colonnade, goes at Liliana. We're going to need a threat fast. And unfortunately, Tarmogoyf is no longer a threat. Certainly Overgrown Tomb, not a threat. Very likely could have held the Overgrown Tomb there. That may have caused the opponent to refrain from attacking with Celestial Colonnade. Yeah, so we're just going to get buried in a card advantage here and probably lose, finish 3-2. You can have a Cryptic or attack and Jace. Excellent. So I did not keep the Cryptic. Probably going to see Temple Garden go bye-bye. Alright, so now we're going to hold marsh flats here. The hope is that this maybe makes the opponent not attack with Celestial Colonnade, which they did not. Buys us some time. Yep, so they're definitely going to take the Sphinx's Rev there, fire off, fill up their hand. Draw a couple more cards with Jace. Oh gosh, this feels like standard. Almost like Ravnica Theros standard. Again, we're not really worried about mana leak. But if we can make them lose a little bit of life. Like so. Maybe we can get just enough damage in to pair with like a couple Collective Brutalities. Not very likely, especially considering the opponent is going to be Sphinx's revving on the next turn. Well, opponent's going to be able to Gideon and Celestial Colonnade us. That's going to be 4-8. That's 2 turns. That's game. It was a fun run, but we're gonna end this one 3-2, unfortunately. Trying to think if there's even anything I can draw next turn to get myself out of this. I mean, technically, a removal spell. Does this have indestructible? Yeah. I don't think there's any way we're getting around this. We need like both removal and a creature to block. So we're just going to concede here. If you enjoy, on the right there's a link to more Abzan Traverse if that's your thing. If you want to subscribe, there's a picture in the middle. And if you want to watch some other videos, there's a link on the left for you. Have a good one.